What's up? Pick Central, Wednesday, August 7th. Myself, Big Ev, Clemmer, in. Brought to you by DraftKings. Did you ever play the over-under game with your friends? You don't think I could eat that slice of pizza in under 30 seconds, or I know it'll take you over a minute to down that 2-liter. If you have, then you're going to love Pick 6, the new fantasy game from DraftKings. Here's how to play during baseball season. It's super simple. First, download the DraftKings Pick 6 app. Then pick between 2 and 6 players and choose if they'll have more or less of a stat, like runs, hits, strikeouts, and more. Total bases as well. Track your picks and play against others for a shot to win huge cash prizes. That's all there is to it. And for all first-time Pick 6 players, check this out. New customers play $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Play Pick 6 from DraftKings, the new fantasy app that packs more fun into less time. Download the new DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code PickCentral. The new customers play $5 and get $50 in Pick 6 credits. That's code PickCentral. PickCentral, Pick Central, only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. All right. We usually come in. We always are going to have a headline, and then one kind of like steals the show. Our man Frank the Tank wearing a Rockies jersey. No problems for the first pitch. They're playing the Mets.
Yeah.
Tough.
Can't do that.
Tough.
I'll let the Mets fans handle it first.
So, like, first pitches, my take is this, like, first pitches don't matter that much, but I guess they matter that much to Frank. There's also some logistics that go into it. They reach out. They're going to make a customized jersey, like, months in advance. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to, like, insult them. But it's against the Mets. It's a tough look.
So they asked Marty when he threw out the first pitch to the Cubs, like, do you want to do it against the Yankees? He's like, fuck no, I'm not doing that. And he chose a different day that worked out because he knew the optics would be terrible. Like, Frank's been doing this a long time. Like, I don't know what he's thinking doing this. It's crazy. Because, like, that's forever now. Him in that Rockies jersey is forever with the Mets in the background. It's insane. Not only that, but he wore it the whole game.
Yeah.
He does, like, a post-game wrap-up, and he's still wearing the fucking thing. Like, what are you doing? Also, like, why do you... Like,
I think he's just big on this first pitch.
Why? Like, if you do it once, I think doing it once is pretty cool. All right, I get to do it once in Major League Park. I wouldn't want to do it more than once. It sounds like a lot. Like, I just want to go watch the game.
He's close to, like, the world record, apparently. Like, Jank said FDR threw out, like, 14 first pitches. Frank's already had, like, 5, 6. Crazy.
I think
What if he's just a juggernaut and he just gets all 32 teams? All 30.
Well, the Mets, I don't think the Mets are not going to have him. He's going to 29.
I know,
the last one.
Why wouldn't the Mets just fucking let him throw it?
I don't think.
I mean, how
I think
could they
Cohen
now?
hates him.
How could you now?
How could you now? He's wearing a jersey of the other team. And then Clemmer, I didn't know he wore it the whole game. That's crazy. That's
whole game.
The deed was already done. Like, the body was already dead. Like, he was already dead. But to wear it the whole game is...
He's doing his recap, and he's talking about the Mets. He's like, we really didn't play well, but he's doing the whole thing wearing a Rockies.
Wearing a Rockies jersey.
He might have said that.
It's insane. Like,
but he's,
brother, you ain't
we. Who's we?
He might have said that. I don't want to. The tweet's there, but he says, like, talking about the Mets, but not saying the word Mets. But he's talking about the team wearing a Rocky. Like, who are you talking about? Rockies, Mets? What's happening here?
And, like, I love Frank, so...
Who could ever wear a bunch of jerseys for different teams?
Exactly. Who could root for multiple teams? I know the Lightning's going to strike me down. Obviously, there were people that root for 68 teams. I root for 68 different people.
That's still weird.
I think Bosco might be less weird here, as crazy as that sounds.
At least he's up front.
Because Bosco's up front, and he's not going, like, at least I'm trying to remember a scenario where he went, like, against his own team.
Also, like, when
Duke,
I say
he used to love Duke, and he goes against.
People say, like, root. I'm not, like, banging the
Duke,
drum for all of them all season.
Because even Duke, like, that was what I was going to say, but even Duke, like, he was, like, Frank might as well, the same way it's like White Sox, he might as well be, like, Mets Frank the Tank. Like, you can't, like, they're your number one team at, like, ever. You're supposed to be, like, obsessed with them. You're, like, you live and die with them. And then you wear a different jersey. Again, like I said, if he throw out a Rockies first pitch, that's fine. But against the Mets,
of course,
wearing the other jersey is insane.
Like, I know he's throwing out first pitches at Guardians games and Brewers games. Totally, I have no problem with that.
I want more first pitches as to play now.
Funniest reply.
He's just saying. I mean, let's call it what it is. Frank's a little slut to throw out that first pitch.
Yes.
He will spread his legs he sold his soul last night doing that.
Does he love the attention from first pitches more than he loves the Mets?
Clearly.
I guess so.
Very clearly.
I mean, how do you argue that?
How can you debate it? He very clearly.
But, like, why is
rather
that?
throw out the first pitch than love the Mets.
Maybe I'm just this is an old man screaming at the clouds thing, but, like, doing it once seems awesome. Like, he did it at the Brewers game. That's cool. Why would you want to go through that? Like, just to go back in the mound and, like,
He wants the world
Why?
record.
He's a little whore.
I gotta
for
be
that
honest.
first
I gotta be honest too. I'm a Frank stan. Like, and I will somehow.
We all love
I
Frank.
will somehow come away in why Frank was right. I thought that was his first pitch, like first time ever doing a first pitch, ever.
No.
So I was like, okay, I could
okay.
I could see that the fact that he's done it multiple times.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have to
He's
come up
done
with a
it
new.
like 3 times. This is like the 4th one he's done this season.
I have to come up with a new defense.
At least we're
I don't know.
golfing
I
set.
think this is indefensible. Truly,
His whole
he's a little whore for these.
Should we
first
call him?
pitches.
Frank's whole thing is that he, in my opinion, he's the most famous sports fan in America right now. Right? Not
probably.
Spike Lee with the Knicks, but I mean like known for being a fan. He's the most famous fan.
Yeah, probably.
And his whole thing is the Mets. And then to wear the other jersey, like, is there a more like as far as just being a fan? Is there a more heinous thing for a fan to do?
Again, while they're playing your team, I don't think there is.
No.
No.
Like there's
Like I'll come in like sometimes I like my throwback Mariners or Angels stuff like that. I like to wear throwback logos of baseball. The baseball. I love baseball, but I would never wear like my throwback Angels shirt on the day they're playing the Mets. That's crazy.
It's like as much as
Right?
like if this comes down to a playoff race or there's a wild card series, I ain't rooting for Gallen against the Mets.
Oh, I don't know about that, Bosco.
All right, Phil.
you did meet him, Rico. That
I'm
goes a
just-
long way in your book.
You can't wear the jersey when they're playing. I would have less of a problem if he wore a Phillies, even a Yankees or a Braves hat and threw out a first pitch against any other team. Like
Me too.
Like I would have less of a problem when he did it
Yeah,
with the
agreed,
Rockies
agreed.
against the
if
Mets.
if you throw out a Phillies first pitch against like the Mariners,
Right, that's a bad look too. Wearing
So
that.
I-
jersey.
like I said,
I still
bad,
agree. That's bad.
but
I don't
not-
think he
but
could actually
not
ever
as
do
bad.
that. I don't.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that either.
don't know if
no
he
one's
could ever
asking
do-
me to throw it. I get it, but I wouldn't.
I don't know
do
if he
it.
could ever do the Yankees though, or the Braves.
See, that's one
actually.
where we've gone to because I remember I was saying I would do Mets before I did Red Sox, Blue Jays,
Right.
Rays, Orioles.
Right.
I don't see the Mets as, like I get the Subway Series and all that. We don't have this like to me
Right.
like the 2000 Subway Series is the only time we've had like a serious like basically play that like really mattered kind of thing.
Yeah.
You
Mets
guys,
fans and Yankee fans go at each other, but that's just kind of what they do.
you guys know me. I love baseball so much, and my favorite thing in the entire world is to go to different baseball parks. I love it the most. It's the greatest thing. I went to Colorado last month. It was incredible. I love it. I love it. I love it. I don't have any real interest in throwing out these first pitches, much less having to wear like the opposing jersey. And maybe I'm missing something. I don't know.
I'd love to throw out the first pitch, but not against my own.
I think doing
Right.
it once seems kind of cool for sure.
Doing
Have
it
that
once
moment
seems
like on a
okay.
major league mound.
Yeah.
That seems kind of fun. But like I can't imagine. Like I also don't want to do like not the anxiety, the stress. Like I just want to like watch the game, and you have to then go meet them down in the field, walk to the mound. It's over like in 3 seconds.
But even that
Pain in
saying,
the
like,
ass.
I have to walk. Like I think throwing that first pitch is pretty awesome.
Once.
Although it has lost its luster, like they joked about it on the
Yeah.
game show.
Yeah.
And I think there was some truth to that. Like there's games where like 3 people throw out the first pitch.
Every game.
That's crazy.
I
Like,
go every before every Mets game. There's someone from competing casinos, electrical supply company threw one out. It's like random people that are just good customers at this electrical supply company got to throw one out. Like what are we doing?
listen, I'd love to be like boots on the ground on the field, like meet some of the players, like throw out a first pitch. Not poo-pooing that whatsoever. I would love to do that. If I ever had the opportunity to do it, I would absolutely love to. It doesn't matter the park. But I just would never do it against the Yankees.
Imagine if like Daniel Vogelback or Darren Ruff or even like Pete Alonso went into the Mets clubhouse wearing an opposing hat.
Oh my God.
Like, not even the team they're playing. Imagine if he went in wearing a Cardinals hat when they're playing the Angels. Frank would be like, "Oh my God, that guy is going to the." You would never hear the end of it.
Yeah.
So like I feel like he almost can't bash players anymore.
I'm
Like,
glad you said because I kind of thought that too. Cause that's a great point because I was kind of like, what's he gonna do with? Like they want to strike up and be like, you want the Mets to lose. You literally wore the other team's jersey for a whole game in their park.
it's very bizarre.
Tough.
I have another question. Is this a bad omen for Mikey Betts on Friday?
Maybe.
I didn't think about that. I don't.
No, I
think
think Mikey Mikey tweeted out he was I think kind of against this. I think he's against.
He was.
Yeah, Mikey's anti this, so I do not think this will affect Mikey.
I will.
I think Mikey's
The
gonna
one
beat
thing
the
with
shit
Frank,
out of Abel brothers.
the one thing with Frank is like just because I think that like you don't find it fascinating to throw out the first pitch, I'm gonna try to put my head on Frank's shoulders. Like
Okay.
he comes from like the courthouse and working that job for like 30+ years, being the biggest. Like
Never
this
got
might-
to do anything.
Right, and now he might be like, this is like the coolest thing for me to do. So like I could see why I can see why he wants to do the first pitches. I can't see why he'd want to do it against the Mets.
That's fair.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I think the first pitches are great, and he's talked about the traveling. I like the clip from he did like the Barstool Golfs with Frankie Borelli, and he talked about it, and I thought that was great, and I think it makes a lot of sense. Like, it's kind of what you said, where he gets to go to Colorado, go to the ballpark, all for that. Just can't throw out the first pitch against the Mets and wear the opposing jersey.
And why not ask for
that
a different
part,
date? Like
do it.
he's like, that's the date they gave you. You can ask for a different date. Like
Marty did.
Like Marty did. Like you can or be like, no, I'll just do it next year then.
Also,
you can say no.
It's the Rockies.
Right.
Who the fuck's going? Like, it's the Rockies.
Right.
Like one of the worst teams in the league. No disrespect, Dukes.
No, right. Like literally it's literally one of the worst and I love the park. People are very nice. It's literally one of the worst franchises in sports.
Yeah.
They've been to one World Series their entire existence. They have an incredibly losing record.
Swept.
Like, yeah, they've never.
For the most parts, they were horrible.
They've been horrible. They've been horrible since '93 when they've had a couple blips, but other than that, even Rocky fans would admit that. I'm sure that they're one of the worst franchises in sports.
I'm surprised. I thought the Tank I thought he had a line. I thought he had a code of conduct. I'm one of those. I'm not even mad. I'm disappointed. I thought I'm disappointed.
I'm shocked.
I just thought he was better than that.
Remember, buy R&R on Friday. RNR.com.
Yep.
Buy R&R.com.
Mikey Betts is a big one. Frank will be there too.
Yep.
It would be if the Ables have a brain cell in their body, which I don't think they do. They would show up in a Colorado jersey.
Yeah, at the weigh-in.
Customized Colorado like Frank the Tank type jersey.
Yeah.
They absolutely should.
Yeah, that would get them really riled up.
Yeah, if they show up to the weigh-in wearing like a Rockies gear.
Oh, I think the walkout even too.
That's But Frank's there for the weigh-ins, and they've gone back and forth in like weigh-ins in the past.
Frank's out there for the walkout.
No, I know, but they've gone back and that's how a lot of this started.
All right, you're right. Probably the weigh-in's probably the better move, and then wear it again.
Because the weigh-in you can really chirp.
Yeah, you can really
You get your moment with the
Yes.
mic. You get to really talk
Good
your
point.
shit.
That's a good point.
What do you think about this jersey, Frank?
Yeah.
She was a good impression.
Breaking.
Yeah.
It's not levels, but Jim Harbaugh.
Receives a 4-year show clause that includes a 1-season suspension for COVID-era recruiting violations, but mostly the way that he handled them.
I don't understand what this means.
Yeah, he's in the NFL.
It just doesn't. Yeah, that's
why he left. I mean, we knew
What is
he
a
was
show
in the NFL
clause?
anyway.
Well, that doesn't even have to do with the sign steal.
Oh.
That was like pre.
Right.
It's because people that joke, it was like he bought a cheeseburger. People made that joke.
I'm sorry, I don't know college football, so it's probably a dumb question. What is a show cause?
I don't think he's allowed in NCAA for 4 years.
Yeah, basically, it's that's
the
kind
guy's
of
the only
stupid.
phrase.
He's banned for 4 years?
Time I remember show clause.
But it's a phony ban. He's
Louisville
signed
guys.
I know, I understand that, but like
Chargers.
that's what that means. Show cause means
Yeah.
a ban.
Guys at Louisville when they were doing the basketball recruiting has a show clause. The guy has a show clause.
I'm just not familiar with that terminology. So that seems like an insanely long
It's pretty long.
time. 4 years as a presidential term.
But I think it's the NCAA is just such like a shams. They're such a crock of shit. I'll put it like this, Clemmer. If he would listen, Jim Harbaugh ran for the hills. He knew this was happening.
Right.
I said it all last year. I said it. I was pulling up DMs from October last season that no matter if they won the championship, lost the championship, no matter what way the end of the season went, he was as good as gone. It happens in college football all the time. Pete Carroll did the same thing. Granted, Pete Carroll's stuff at USC was not so much tied to him. It was like Reggie Bush with the agent and all that. So he just knew shit was about to hit the fan. And he was like, let me get out of here while my coaching stock is high.
Absolutely.
Joining the Seahawks obviously went well. But Jim Harbaugh's such a fucking phony. And the NCAA is such a sham because these violations specifically when it comes to not even the science and like the recruiting, all that, whatever. But they wouldn't have done this if he was like if he was still coaching Michigan. They wouldn't have done this. Is my opinion. It's one of those things like we're look at us put the hammer down.
Right.
But like guy, he's not in college football anymore. He's been gone.
It's like that guy at the bar. It's like, I'll kick his ass when the guy's not around.
Yeah, it's like he left months ago. He's not coming back.
I'm seeing here, this is an article, a show cause penalty has sometimes been described as rendering a coach unemployable at NCAA member schools.
Yep.
It means the coach's employing school must convince the NCAA to sufficiently punish the coach, such as firing or suspending him or her. So yeah, I think you guys are absolutely right. This basically means it's a show cause means ban or unemployable.
He can't coach college football for the next 4 years.
And then he'll come back though.
Then
but even that, there is some wiggle room.
Well,
here,
in the
but-
Chargers, he'll coach somewhere else in 5 years.
You could appeal.
Somebody will
Gonna be-
come
I mean,
back.
probably
And there is some wiggle room within the language that I'm seeing where you'd be like, well, he might have been maybe 2. Let's say the Chargers thing bombs out. He pulls a save in. You could say, oh well, that is a sufficient punishment. 2 years is enough.
And that's my point by this NCAA nonsense, because they would, in theory, if that happened, or this is what they would do, Clemmer. They let him say he takes the Texas. I'm just throwing a name out there. Say he took the Texas job, and then the first 2 games of the year they play Western Carolina and fuck State.
Yes.
He'd be suspended the first 2 games of that season. They'd be like, look, we suspended him. We did our whatever, blah, blah, blah. Then
And he's
back.
good to go.
And it's like nothing fucking happened.
This is very negotiable, it seems like. And I think that's why they use the word show cause instead of the word ban, because ban is, there's no wiggle room. This, you're absolutely right, Ev. This gives you, and this shows you, like, to talk about the NCAA being crooked, kind of allows them some wiggle room there. That is a pretty heavy duty.
You know what? It's not even that the NCAA, I think, it's crooked. I think they're just so incompetent.
Really?
Like, I think
This stinks of corruption.
like, but see, Michigan people would tell you it's a witch hunt against them.
And they might be right. A 4-year ban seems excessive. Now, I the COVID thing, I don't know exactly what happened.
I don't know. It's like-
was he the only coach to do this?
It was like going on the road, I think,
It's
right?
recruiting violation. You're going on the road. It was like buying meals that you're like, not, that was the big joke was made.
Oh, bullshit.
Bought,
4
like,
years for this?
I would like to read the language.
Well, you know
and
what
they
it is?
with more of it than what we know right
Yeah,
now.
all right.
I need
They
to
want
read
to
the
punish
article,
him.
but
They want to punish him for the sign stealing thing, and they can't do it.
yes, exactly. That's why
That is the definition of a witch hunt, then, in a lot of ways. Like, you're finding this end around. It's like, Capone with the tax evasion.
But it's because in college sports, the problem with the way college sports is just like set up is that there's so much turnover that when for example, even like the Penn State thing, like people that like players and coaches that had nothing to do with the Sandusky scandal got hammered by that for years after. Baylor, same thing with their whole like their heinous scandal. Like there's so many times that happens.
It's accurate.
Where-
There's no way to punish the actual.
There's no way to
crime
punish them
committers.
because by the time the punishment
They're
happens,
gone.
they're gone.
Yeah.
And it's just new people there that have to just take the brunt of it.
Yep.
And that's what Sharon Moore, who's the offensive coordinator last year, an offensive line coach, who was the new head coach at Michigan, he did have a lot to do with it. There's text messages with Connor Stallions. They deleted them. They uncovered them. And that was my point of that. Like clearly the top knew about it because their whole defense was like, Connor Stallions was acting on his own. He was this Michigan crazed manifesto writing that got into coaching after the Marines and just wanted to win so bad he'd do whatever it took. He was texting the offensive coordinator, co-head coach directly. Like you think these guys at the top didn't know about it? Of course
Right.
they did. Of course they did. But it's just the whole way it's structured. Like Sharon Moore is going to get suspended. I don't know how long. I'd imagine maybe significantly this season.
Really?
I think there's a good chance. Yeah.
So then who would then be the coach?
Someone on their staff would be the
Huh.
interim.
Figure it
Connor
out.
Stallions.
It was all his plan all along, right?
That's the long
manifesto
game?
And it's so
completed.
annoying because this Netflix thing's gonna come out and he's already doing the if I'm a bad guy for like what I did, then all of college football's a bad guy. Like that's his pitch, which I would say is probably the smartest way to like go about it because we can only prove it about you, we can't prove about the others. So you can just leave kind of throw that doubt in the air and say everyone's doing it and just no one else got caught, only we got caught, kind of thing.
Now, I know in basketball, like with UMass, when Calipari had the scandal with Camby, they stripped their titles. Is there any chance they would strip football titles away, or is that not really?
Sure, but
I
it
don't
doesn't
think-
matter.
I don't think they're going to.
It's
I
USC, right?
Yeah, it
But
doesn't
no,
matter.
but they didn't win the title though.
Okay, I'm sorry.
They lost to
Sorry.
Texas. It's been a debate for years. Like if they had won that game against Texas,
Okay, I understand.
would they have actually stripped the title?
I forever used to.
Louisville,
make
they did it in
jokes.
2013. Their basketball.
Yeah, they'd be like,
I feel like it happens in basketball.
They stripped it. To me, I don't think they're gonna strip it. Michigan's almost too premier of a program, which is why it's so funny to go back and forth on the witch hunt thing, crooked. Because I think in other ways they would protect. They don't want to just strip national titles the year after they're won.
No, I can't imagine. I mean, you look at what baseball bent over backwards to sweep the Astros scandal under the rug because they didn't want to strip a title away from someone because
Also,
it's a bad look.
Also, to me, I've been saying this in Ohio State fan, I said don't strip it because it means fucking nothing to strip it.
I was always the
To
guy
me,
who was
it
joking
means
around
nothing. We know what happened. We experienced it. We lived through it. No matter what you do, no matter what you say, you can't put a 2024 national title sign or banner in Michigan Stadium, whatever the fuck it is. No one gives a fuck about it. That's another reason why I hate the NCAA because they're big and bad. We're putting the hammer down. Guy, no one cares. Everyone knows who won the national title last year. It does not matter. That's why I'm don't take it.
I used to.
The
The
forever-
fact that it
yeah.
came
Doesn't
out
mean
middle of the
anything.
year, came out middle of the year. So the fact that they won it after the allegations
Right.
came out and all the eyes were on them kind of makes it. How do you take it away at that point?
Dukes thinks it's the most true title in all of sports.
Well,
It's the most true.
That's Jack Mack. Did
No,
say that. You think Jack Mack stole it from you?
I know for a fact. I gave it to Jack. I gave it to Jack Mack. Because I said it on here, and then I came to Jack, and then Jack started being like, "No, you're right," and said it like not like Jack obviously is on a college football show. It's not like it's stolen. It's like we were on the same page about it.
I love Jack Mack to death, but no one gobbles Michigan cock more than him. I've said this to his face. I love Jack Mack. One of my better friends in the office. That guy loves sucking Michigan cock. Loves it. He was gargling Michigan all last year.
Must have tasted good, though. Think about it. Michigan won. I mean, that's not a bad cock to gargle, right?
I forever used to make the jokes like, oh, Calipari's been to 5 Final Fours. Yeah, show me the banners. Like, I joke around about that. But, like, ultimately, who won the 2013 title? Louisville. Who won the 2024 title? Michigan. It's just fact. These teams won the titles. It's over.
Even like Reggie Bush's Heisman, same shit. Like, who gives a fuck?
He won the Heisman.
They said Vince Young, he came in second. He's like, I don't want the fucking Heisman.
Yeah,
that's Reggie Bush's Heisman.
Yeah.
Which, thank God, they give it back to him.
So, like, we'll joke around about it, but it's pointless.
Louisville's also probably will get reinstated.
You think so?
I think so. Well, at some point, it will.
Well, to me, too, like a Louisville one, for example, like, they didn't cheat on the court.
Right.
Like, they didn't, like, Michigan's is a little different because they literally, like, sign stealing, like, in games. That's actually, like, cheating. Like, even, like, going back to the USC stuff, like, an agent buying Reggie Bush's family a house to live in or renting for whatever. Like, that's not cheating.
Well, did it help? Well, I agree. It's still holding stupid.
He was already at USC. Like, it was
it didn't affect him being at the school.
Him going there.
Okay.
He was already at the school.
Right.
And the agent, it was his last year. Like, you're going to be rich in, like, a year from now. Let me, like, take care of your family, put them in a house, and then basically I'll be your agent when you go to the draft next year.
And then, like,
he didn't affect his recruiting.
It also makes you want to, like, back then they were playing. It was pay to play was a scandal. You get an envelope for whatever.
Right, of course.
What are they really doing now? It's kind of pay to play.
No, but
like NIL, you can't tell me what they really do in NIL.
You see,
they're doing what? A commercial?
You see the shirts Baylor was wearing this week at practice. Their coaches.
We pay players.
We pay players. Like Adidas logo.
Yeah.
I mean, they did. It's legal
Agreed.
now.
No, it's totally legal.
It's
But
all
they're getting-
LLCs. Like,
they're getting paid to do
just
nothing.
give you money.
Yeah,
Like,
they'll
give you $1 million.
They should
do nothing. Agreed.
It's literally
Agreed.
we give you, there's like
The money that they make, the Final Four is fucking
shit.
packed. College football's fucking packed.
NCAA is flush. Like,
It was an old story. Chris Webber in that book with Mitch Albom. He walks past the thing and he's like, "How much?" It's in the documentary.
Yeah.
He goes, "How much is that jersey?" He's like, "I don't get a fucking dime." For it."
$75. He's like, I don't even know where I'm gonna get dinner.
Yeah,
later.
he's like, exactly. So they deserve it. They're bringing in the money for the schools.
Well, now it's like the transfer portal is literally free agency.
They're ambassadors for the
Like
school.
the market for a starting like Power 5 quarterback is like $1 million plus.
Look at the start quarterback for Michigan and the starting point guard for Michigan in 1993 couldn't make a dime, but a kid who lived across the hall from him could go bartend and make $1,000 a night if he wanted to.
Right.
You're telling me I don't have a job? I have a job. I'm fucking talking to the press. I'm doing this. Don't get me wrong.
How much revenue am I bringing in for the school?
Yeah, you're not fucking laying bricks and breaking your back, but like it is work.
Yeah, of course. They're trying to juggle studies.
And you're ambassador for the school.
And you're also bringing in
the same
X
way.
amount of revenue.
How much they pay resident directors? Resident directors got free room and board.
Yep.
Fucking the other guy, like you could go and you get paid to do whatever to like ambassador the school. Hey, we'll put you in a magazine and we might be able to give you a couple $100 or something like that, or go speak at an alumni event or a prospecting high school, whatever.
Appearances, yeah.
Appearances, like they deserved it.
I was in college.
Kids went to school because of fucking the Fab Five. Kids go to school because of fucking Tim Tebow, Florida Gulf Coast. Those kids,
absolutely. Athletics bring
100%.
It's just a TV revenue. Even you don't even you can have a
it's
direct.
a fact. Florida Gulf Coast made the Sweet 16. The fucking admissions went up about 9,000%.
It always does though. He does for every school that goes on a run. Dayton, same thing.
Even
100%.
Look at Alabama.
So those kids on the team should make money. Those kids weren't a direct asset to why that went up. They were. I mean, they 100%.
I'm not saying they weren't, but I mean that's just a different argument.
What do you mean?
Like the image and likeness of the kids on the team. Like, what did they get money because they had more kids go to the school because of them?
Yes,
they should.
No, they should be allowed their own likeness. Like
they should be allowed to get paid.
That's what I'm saying.
They should be allowed to get paid.
Right.
Like Rico's point is they were precluded from even being able to make any money at all.
No, I think we're arguing two different things. Like,
well, I'm just making a point.
Yeah,
with Florida Gulf Coast.
Florida Gulf Coast, I think it's like a little bit different.
Owners,
would you pay them to go? Like, what would they make with going to Florida Gulf Coast? Minimum wage?
Yeah.
Compared to like an Alabama player that's probably going to get paid like more like obviously.
But something's better than nothing. Owners and these colleges and whoever's in charge have been trying to make money off the backs of athletes forever. We saw it happen in baseball before free agency. We saw it happen in football before free agency. We see it happen before the NIL. These colleges were raking in money on the backs of these kids and had no problem doing it.
I mean, it's like also just changing everything with like the landscape, how you build a team. You get X amount of money. You have like a salary cap basically with how much NIL money you have. Do you want to risk it on a top 50 incoming freshman who might boom or bust? It's like a first round pick. Or do you want to do it on someone that's in the transfer portal that has proven themselves at like a lower level? Like it really is. It changes the whole way that you recruit and build your program.
I wouldn't
There's
be
no
surprised.
salary cap, though.
I wouldn't be.
What?
No salary cap.
Right, but like in
Like, these
some
schools
sense,
can spend as
I
much as
wouldn't
they
be
have.
in some
surprised
sense,
if they start getting GMs to do that.
they do have GMs already.
I know. To
they have guys that
if it
run the
becomes-
NIL
if
programs.
Everybody, yeah, guys running the NIL who are directly related with the school.
There is
but that's-
some sort of a salary cap too. No,
there's not.
there's no salary cap, but it's how much money you have to pass out. Like
Well,
yes,
sure,
hypothetically,
sure,
like
but-
yes, but it's just how much is your NIL
Yeah.
budget?
But
sure.
but the school can have an unlimited budget?
Yes.
Oh, so there's no cap then.
Right.
Right.
I'm
There's
saying
no
there's
no
not.
cap, but
But you
So
fuck
Ohio,
yourself.
Ohio State this offseason spent like $20 million on
But
it.
you have to money manage. All right, you give the quarterback who comes in, let's say you give him $3 million. That kid kind of busts out. Ev comes in 2 years later as a 5-star prospect. He's starting the bidding at $3 million.
Yes.
So you have to like figure out a way of what you can actually give kids money-wise to like not be burnt. Because you go to those big donors and it's like, I'm telling you, this guy Clemmer, he's the guy. You bust out.
Yep.
I'm not gonna come back to you for $4 million for Ev, and I'm telling you, he's the guy. After how many times of getting burnt are they gonna keep giving money?
That's sports. I mean, that's
but
free agency.
another thing-
Also, if you give the first guy 3, you better be able to give the
real
next guy
sport.
4.
Or a pro
You know what I mean?
But the thing I like too that's happened that I'm glad because I feel like so many people are seeing now they were wrong about is that when it first came out, when the NIL became a thing, that it became went from NIL to straight up like LLCs, just that schools essentially paying players directly. It became like, oh, it was so uneven. Now it's going to get even more uneven because all the big schools have all the money. This is even the playing field so much because there are so many of those like Power 5 schools that have a ton of money. Like think like in Arkansas, Oklahoma State. There's a ton of these schools that have a shit ton of money that aren't like A tier like
Right.
teams like Ohio State and Georgia and Bama. Like it's even the playing field as much as anything has recently. Like there's so many more teams that are able to acquire quarterbacks, players, like just talent in general. Like Ole Miss. Ole Miss has went nuclear in NIL. They're not some school you think about. They haven't won an SEC title in like 80 years. If they ever won one.
It's made other schools in basketball just as relevant too.
Exactly.
I'm not sucking them off, but Alabama was not good for 25 years of my life.
It is
They get an NIL
firmly-
budget. You get a good coach. You can make it into a program contender immediately.
It is firmly even.
There's probably some other schools that are slipping my mind that have a ton of NIL. TCU, I think I heard, has a ton of NIL.
Yeah, they have a lot. Like
Basketball,
Oregon,
like this.
obviously with like Phil Knight, they
Right.
have a lot.
But
Like,
I'm
there's
thinking under the
a ton of
radar
these
Power
schools.
5 schools that have like a lot of NIL.
There's a bunch, like pretty much like almost the whole SEC, like most of
Yeah.
them, has significant money. Like most of these schools at least have a couple of guys that are billionaires, or at least have like a billionaire, or like a bunch of millionaires that are willing to throw in some money here and there, and all of a sudden you have $20 million to spend.
Right.
And schools have money too, like
For sure.
I mean, it's charging so much for tuitions of, they said the schools are raking in the money on these TV deals, other things like that, and they, not to pay the kids at all. That was a crime. I'm just glad it's been rectified and money's going to the kids.
They started crying that it was the Wild West. It was like that. That's what they caused.
It's exactly what happened in 1977 when free agency
caused.
happened in baseball. Oh, it's the Wild West. How could we do that? You know why? Because you're losing money. Shut the fuck up.
Right.
Greedy.
100%.
Any way they can take advantage of these kids and these athletes, they'll do it.
I mean, they straight up
Should go and get
they
that.
straight up got overruled in the Supreme Court
Yeah.
for the NIL.
And that's what has to happen. That's the only way this system will change. You have to go all the way to the top. Isn't that a shame? To avoid paying these kids just like Rico's saying, just a decent wage.
I love it. I'm just so fired up. It's back. We're so close.
It really is.
College football's so close. Less than 3 weeks for like a real game. Week 0.
Yeah, that's a good.
August 24th.
That's a good segue. I'm sure you're going college. I'm going college. You
I
what,
have college.
For win total?
Yeah.
I have pro.
You have pro. All right, so let's go win total Wednesday. It's been a little while. I'm going to give you 2 because it has been a couple of weeks.
I got 2 as well.
I have 2 as well.
Okay, awesome. Texas Tech under 7.5 wins. The quarterback, Morton, I think, has health issues. 15 touchdowns, 8 interceptions is nothing to really write home about, especially in a passing offense and the Big 12. O-line has 1 starter back, 3 back on defense, which allowed 26 points per game, 384 yards per game. They got 4 gimme wins. The craziness is they might open up 4-0, so hold your breath. But they have 4 gimme wins. They got a tough trip to Wazoo. They got at Arizona, Baylor, at TCU, at Iowa State. I think are their losses. And they got Colorado, Oklahoma State, and West Virginia, which they would have to they'd have to steal one, and they'd have to sweep. They'd have to be Wazoo, and they'd have to sweep those 3 to get you to the 7.5, to get you to 8. So I think I'm taking under on 7.5. I'll do the second one next. We'll whip through it. What do you got?
So I got 2 today. They're both correlating to picks I made. We did our Big Ten preview on This Year Roughness. Check that out. So I'll go with the over first. I think we've talked about them a little bit on the show, maybe in the last month or so, but I'm buying in Nebraska. I'm taking Nebraska.
I wanted to take this.
I'm taking Nebraska over 7.5 wins.
I think I text you about this too.
I've talked to a few people about it. I've seen a lot of the sharp action going both ways on this, over and under. People are very kind of split on them. I'm buying into Nebraska.
They could start 6-1. Right? Is it crazy?
Absolutely. The three things I'm buying into Nebraska the most. The first thing above all else is they have an elite defense, truly elite, top 10 in the country. That's bringing back, I believe, 8 or 9 starters. And significant starters too, really bringing back the whole core. Defense should be unbelievable. Second thing, year 2 of Matt Rule. Matt Rule is an unbelievable coach.
Leap.
I know that things didn't work out in Carolina with the Panthers in the NFL. Everywhere this man has went in college football, he's won. Whether it was Temple, Baylor. When Baylor was coming off the sanctions, they were in the dirt. He brings them back. I think he's going to be the guy that brings Nebraska back. And I guess I'll say 4 things actually. The third, I'm in on Dylan Raiola. I think this guy's an unbelievable talented quarterback. He's a 5-star, obviously highly touted. One of the bigger prospects to come in college football in recent memory. I like the way he looked in the spring game. You can take the spring game with a grain of salt. It was just the decision-making, ball placement was incredible. I think he's just an elite talent, truly elite talent. And regardless of if he has, I'm sure he's going to have the true freshman growing pains. It's bound to happen. It's just a big leap in competition. But he will be a significant upgrade from what they had at quarterback last year.
Right, and I also think you could pull up their record in 1-score games.
And I think Matt Rule's. And then the last thing I'll say is the schedule. They started the schedule.
Can open 6-1.
Home against UTEP, win. Home against Colorado. I think they revenge what happened last year. I think that's a win. Northern Iowa comes to Nebraska, win. They're actually home in the first 4 games of the season. Illinois should be much worse, win. Purdue stinks. I think they go there, win. They're 5-0 at Rutgers, coming to Nebraska. I actually think that's going to be a tough game. I think Rutgers' defense is going to be very good, but I think they should win that. Then they go to Indiana. They could legitimately be 6-7-0.
And then what do they have? Ohio.
And then they go to Ohio State.
Bank on that being game day. If they're 6-1 or 7-0, bank
Absolutely.
on that being game day.
Then UCLA comes to town. I think that's a tough trip for UCLA. I think they lose. Going to USC will be tough. That'll be a tough game. They could drop that one. But regardless, they're sitting 7-1 or 7-2, even if they lose that one.
What's the number?
7.5.
Yeah, I think.
And then they end with Wisconsin coming to Nebraska, and they go to Iowa. Iowa will be a tough game. Wisconsin will be tough too.
Wisconsin's gonna be down. You think though?
But I really think if they just win basically one of those games, they get it. And I think Nebraska's a team this year that if they went 9-3, 10-2, it would not shock me at all. I think Nebraska. I think it's funny because the joke has been this is Nebraska's year. This is Nebraska's year. They're finally going to come back. I really think this is the year they finally take that step forward. I like Nebraska a lot.
I've also learned in my time here, don't go against Will Compton. He's going to fucking dunk on you somehow. At least he does today. Surviving, fucking, arguments, whatever. Paintings, he'll kill you. So I'm taking Nebraska over the 7.5. Clemmer, what do you got?
All right.
Your first one.
Carolina Panthers. Win total under 5.5. It's -105. This is a team that won 2 games last year. I think they're going in 6 this year. Remember, they had a first-round pick, but it was a 32nd. They didn't have a true first-round pick. They haven't made any giant moves in the offseason. I don't hate the quarterback as much as other people do. I'm not as down on Bryce Young as some other folks, but I don't think he's going to make this massive leap either. I just don't think he has the tools around him. I just don't think I don't see the Panthers going from 2 wins to 6 wins. The Falcons are better in that division. Maybe the Bucs take a little step back. I think the Saints would be right around where they are. It's not like there's major reasons why that division's worse. If anything, you probably see the division's probably better. I think the Falcons are better. I just don't see a path to 6 wins when you had 2 last year and no major improvements.
Can I respectfully counter some of the just improvements I think they did make? I like that they traded for Deontay Johnson. I like the receiver.
And they got the draft pick.
Legette out of South Carolina, who I really like.
They have 2 new
the 2 new guards, I think, are going to be big for them because I think their offensive line was so putrid.
Horrific.
They went and paid, Hunt. I think is a really good guard for Miami. and another guy too. I forget who. Like another maybe from Raiders or somebody like a high paid guard. So I do like what they did in terms of like trying to solidify the offensive line, especially in what they did it specifically up the middle because you have a short quarterback. You got to protect the interior. So I like what they did, but I still don't. It's one of those things. I'll put it this way: I damn sure wouldn't bet the over.
So here's the pushback.
5.5.
5.5.
I definitely wouldn't bet the over.
You have the schedule in front of you.
Yeah, one thing I like about the Panthers too, more importantly than like even the pieces, which I love the receiving core and exactly what you said with the guards, but their coach and what he's done the past 2 years with quarterbacks that were dead and then bring them back. Canales, what he's been able to do with Geno Smith in Seattle and then with Baker last year. So like that's why I don't know if they get 6 wins.
6 is a big number.
Pull it up.
So
I was looking into it though, taking their over because it's such a dramatic. Like the line doesn't make sense that it's like. What do they know?
So another thing quick about them before we go into the thing. So their draft picks. So I thought, all right, so they don't have a true number 1. Maybe they're number 2 because it would be like in theory the first pick of the second round.
Yeah.
It actually was they had the Colts second round pick. And the third round pick was the Jets. They didn't have their own pick until the 4th. So they didn't even take advantage of those first 3 rounds.
Yeah.
But yeah, look at the schedule. Tell me if you get 6 wins here. I didn't get it.
Saints have to win that game. I think that's a loss.
At home, yes.
Chargers have to win that game even if it's on the road. They could beat the Raiders. So let's just give them winnable.
Give them one of the ones, Raiders or Chargers.
Let's give them Raiders.
Okay, so they got one right now.
I lose to the Bengals.
Yes.
I don't know. We give them Raiders.
Give them one of the two, Raiders or Chargers.
You don't have to give them any.
Or Saints. You don't have to give them any.
You don't have to give them any.
Let's just list winnable games.
I almost
have
don't
one.
love this exercise in the NFL because it's just so much turnover. Like we're kind of just like you just see teams skyrocket, plummet.
Yeah. But I mean, we can look at.
Like I said, I would not bet
love this exercise.
I kind of do too, and I don't.
I love this exercise.
I call this for this one the path to 6 though. We got one.
All right, so we got one.
Well, what do you think? I guess more. What do you think are like winnable games then?
That's what I was saying.
That's what I'm saying. I got one right now.
So I would say, Saints and Chargers are like winnable.
All right, so
I don't think
3.
I don't think.
All right,
oh, you guys are. They're not going to win in the Saints.
Winnable.
But winnable is like a
winnable. They won 2 games last year. They were terrible.
But that's what, all right. So they're just going to be. But that means they're going to be terrible forever.
But I don't think they made enough improvements not to be terrible. Not forever, but like they were horrific last year.
You can give them 3 winnable to open.
I just think the NFL. It's like. I just think it's for me. It's very hard to say like. 90-80% of their games are just like unwinnable in the NFL when they did make improvements, new coaches.
All right, how about this? What games are they going to be favored in? Do that?
Oh, favored probably.
Do that.
Almost none probably.
Like you know what I mean? Like do it even.
No, favored is fine. That's
making
fine.
good points.
Like winnable,
favored. I don't. Maybe none.
Like even winnable. What do you call winnable? I think winnable is like 3.5 or like less is like winnable.
Pull that back up.
Like there's not 6 games in there that have I don't think would be spreads with 3.5 or less. But
it's tough because you also need to like that'll change so much once you see them on the field a couple times.
Agreed.
I have a spicier bet for you guys.
What do you have?
Panthers fewest wins plus 650.
No, the Patriots are worse.
I don't. Pats, they're gonna beat the Jets at least once. You got 1 win on there.
Why?
Because they always beat the Jets.
Well, don't say they'll beat the Jets.
They don't always have his quarterback.
It will beat the Jets, Bills,
or
they will beat the Jets, Bills, or Dolphins at least once.
Yeah.
Of those 3 games.
I still think the Patriots defense will win them a game. Like not just, I think that they'll keep it close.
I think we went through the Pats schedule.
By the way,
650 is like
also
pretty good.
Like all the Panthers, I'm looking at the Panthers spread right now. All the spreads are pretty close. They're not favored in any. This was also released a while ago. But
Panthers at Saints week 1 right now is Saints -5. Like I don't call that a winnable game. Like could they win? Of course, anything could happen. It's football. But like that's not a game that I would expect them to win. The money line is like -205. That's not.
Where is that game?
In New Orleans. They're not gonna win that first game. Like I'm like.
That's a good. Yeah.
I mean, like probably not.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Probably not.
I get caught up in the language of like winnable. Just
sure.
In the NFL, I'm like
any given Sunday.
Because even it's like the spreads are so like where it's like. Even 5, like they're big underdogs, but it's like
then do the probably not game then. Like they're gonna win, probably not.
But you could they're so bad on paper right now, and they were so bad last year that you could probably not them all 17 games probably.
I think 6 is a big task when.
No, it is.
There's 8 games. I'm just like I don't want to pull it up, but there's 8 games right now spread wise that, or Vegas would say like a coin flip.
What?
Less than
8
3?
games?
Yeah, like
3.5 or less.
Like even like you have to think like the Saints. Okay, they're 4.5, 5.
At home. I was going to say they go to Carolina. They'll be 2.5. And that's like one of those rat lines. Like that's a line that I like love to sniff out.
Well,
when
I
see,
guess
like,
you got to go through
Panthers
their
plus 2.5 at home against somebody.
The
like
start
that.
of their schedule is a lot harder than the beginning and then the end. So, Bosco, it's back up for your exercise.
All right, yeah, perfect. So, Bengals loss. Bears.
should be a loss. I mean,
In Chicago, that's a
yeah,
loss.
should be a
Right.
loss.
I have one win for them so far, by the way, myself.
All right,
on this.
What are you
Falcons.
saying, Commanders?
Commanders, let's give them the
I'll give them the win there.
steal one on the
I
road.
mean, that's a tough one. Still,
It is a tough
I think
one.
Commanders will be better.
You were the one who was trying to be a little more bullish on them. Broncos, let's give them the win
Yeah.
to a degree.
All right, it's fine.
Still on the road
I have
at Mile
three
High.
right now.
Brutal. They don't beat the Saints.
I think they could be the Saints at home.
The Giants have to win that game.
These are the
Injuries aside, in London, Giants have to win that game.
Scary game.
Wait. It's not London. It's not London. It's Munich.
Okay.
It's just like it's so funny. Like just like the Giants fans, like, well, we win that one.
No, I said we
It
have
is-
to.
that
we
is-
have to win that
I
game.
was like, oh,
spread
I
wise,
hope so.
spread wise,
Fuck.
that was a
Yeah.
very much a corner.
Sure.
Giants have good records in London. I'm pretty sure.
You have to win that game.
They
It's
beat
Germany.
Rodgers in Green Bay.
They beat Jeff Fisher in London.
or not Green. I mean Rodgers
Not in London.
and the Packers.
But like,
in
okay,
London.
overseas. How about that? Not in America.
Yeah.
Alright.
Chiefs is a loss.
Yeah, sure.
Are you seeing these or no?
Like Bucks are like
Bucks can be a win.
those interdivision games at home. Like I feel like those are
Cardinals can be a win, but the Cowboys and Eagles are
A
brutal.
loss.
They'll split with the Bucks.
Cardinals
And the
is
Falcons at
potentially
home.
winnable.
Maybe the Panthers steal that because the Falcons are resting everybody. They already clinched the division. But man, I don't know. I'm leaning under.
Like I said, I would not bet the over. I was more just pushing back on that.
It's fine.
tough
I
schedule.
do,
No,
I do
it's a
think
good- it's a good
they made upgrades.
I do think from the Bears week. Let me just try to.
I think for a team that had a number one, that was the worst record in the league, they made less upgrades than a typical team does because they didn't have the number one pick.
They
I
got
think
Clowney.
they're still
They
the
got
worst team in the
Clowney.
league.
If that makes any sense.
What'd you say?
They got Clowney. Which
They
like
did.
instead of like Burns, so they obviously
Would have
lost.
been probably a better move,
Well,
7 years ago. But
Jadeveon Clowney in 2024.
yeah,
Oh.
I know it's just
It's an old man.
old timers game.
I don't think he's that old or like that
He-
bad. Like it's still like
He
that's
could
still a
listen.
good player.
He could contribute rushing the passer.
Yeah,
I
like,
guess
for a
Clowney
team that like
is-
didn't have a pass rush last year, that's not like for on a 1-year deal.
Clowney been in
it's
the league
fine.
11 years. I
Dude, the score bug he used to have in his college days was like
Is he like
he played
33?
college games like 480p.
No, stop. He was what draft was he?
13 or
13 or
14.
4. I was gonna say 14.
He's 31. He's the
He's
same
only
age.
31?
He's the same age as Judon.
Yeah.
How's he doing? He's hurt all year.
Wants his money.
Yeah, he wants
Wants
his
his
money.
money.
Wants his money.
But I think from the Bears to the Giants, if you're taking the pan, you got to go like 4-2 in that stretch.
They're
Which-
not going 4-2.
What's your second win total?
Yeah, I'll put that one up. Broncos. Broncos, same line. It's under 5.5.
Pull it up.
This is minus 125. This is a tiny bit juicier.
What's the Broncos odds to have the worst record in the league?
They have the second best odds of second
second highest.
shortest, yeah. Plus 550. The Pats are plus 320.
By the way, Broncos last year went. Lions actually went 8-9.
It's
Broncos went 8-9 last year.
Yeah.
early in the depth chart. But I think Jared Stidham's QB1 in the first depth chart of the preseason.
That's the thing. Like Russell Wilson
still think-
statistically actually was pretty good last year.
I mean, I really hope they don't start Bo Nix because he's going to be running for his life and you could really fuck a guy up in a bad situation. I like Bo Nix. I thought he was going to be. I think he's going to be good. He's going to be okay. I know Ev hates him.
Bo Nix is 24 years old.
I'm not high on Bo Nix. I just don't think he's going to work out in the pros. Maybe I'll be wrong. But
Because he's in a bad situation. I almost hope they don't start him.
I was saying it before he got drafted. I'm just not a fan.
Yeah, I know,
I'm just
I
not
knew
a fan
that.
of him as a player.
So the Broncos did win 8 games last year. So that gave me pause. But then I looked at Russell Wilson's stats last year. 26 touchdowns, 8 picks. I don't think they have a damn guy on that roster that's going to be able to do anything close to that.
And I'll tell you what, I really even think he was such a paper tiger. Like I think those stats do not equate to his level of quarterback play. I think he was dog shit.
That's fine.
That's my opinion.
But regardless, you're still getting production, and that production is no longer going to be there. And that team that won 8 games, I don't see winning 6.
Oh no, I don't. I think the Broncos are not going to be good.
No, I think
I
they'll
don't.
be bad.
Yeah, I just been pushing back on the Wilson thing because I think the last couple of years he's been kind of a screw. I mean, even Sean Payton's kind of talked about it. He had such little faith in him. All they threw was screens and deep balls. Like he just was like, this guy is not who everyone thinks he is.
I guess the flip side of it, though,
Immediate buyer's remorse.
I feel like
Yes.
I feel like though he's become almost underrated because it's looked at as he had just this horrible, miserable year last year when statistically at least He did not.
Touchdowns, interceptions, was fine.
Yeah.
And yards. I mean, he threw 3,000 yards in 15 games. Like, it's not.
That's like
It's fine.
3,000 what?
3,000 yards in 15 games.
It's like not.
I know, but I'm saying it's not. Wasn't this horrific year? When people, I think the average person in the street that had Russell Wilson do last year, oh, horrible. He's a horrible year. But it really wasn't that bad. Like, I was surprised even to the Broncos who won 8 games last year. Like, in my mind, the Broncos were way worse than they actually were.
Defense wasn't bad.
Yeah, 200 yards, 200 yards.
And they're always, it's always tough to.
2 drives.
They're one of those. It's just tough to go to Denver and win. Like they kind of just.
Not passing, 2 drives.
I'm saying like it's 2 like really long. That means you drove your team down the field 80 yards.
Now rushing it all though.
I'm just putting it out there as like relatively. I'm trying to put it in like a grasp. Yeah, means you drove down the field twice for 80-yard drives. Let's say passing throughout the course of a game. That's not a lot. Leads you to 14.
I guess, yeah. I mean, it's not a huge number, but I think it's higher than I think the
Plus, in a
average person
passing
might
league,
think.
like 200 is not what it used to be. So, what's their schedule? Broncos. Let's see this. This is fun. Seahawks toss-up. In Seattle,
Seattle's
I think
a loss.
Steelers have to have that game. Bucks have to have that game.
Tough.
Zach
Jets.
Wilson
Yep.
revenge game.
Yes.
Yeah, they probably
Nobody knows that defense better.
Bo Nix gets hurt.
Or you can make the
first
case
half.
nobody knows it worse than him.
He's third string right now.
Wilson
Bo Nix?
is
Bo Nix. Not that they can't change. Obviously, it's like
with
week
who,
1
who is it
preseason.
with obviously Wilson and who?
Stidham.
That's right.
Stidham's
Stidham,
1,
yeah, Stidham.
Wilson's 2.
Raiders aren't great.
What if Zach Wilson's just
I think
good,
Raiders
though?
are going to be pretty good. They're
It'll be a fight. They'll fight.
I think the Raiders are okay too.
Chargers have to win that
I think
game.
the Chargers are worse. So I think one of those games is a win for the Broncos. Either Raiders or Chargers.
Saints have to win.
Saints a tough game.
Give
Though.
them the Panthers win
Yep.
at home. Lost to the Ravens.
Tough, yeah.
Oh,
Lost
yeah.
to the Falcons. Who's in between that?
Good out, slide down, Dukes.
Bengals.
Chiefs lost.
Chiefs loss. Browns loss.
Right, going to Raiders tough. They'll probably split with. It's interdivisions. I almost account for like splits. Even with the
Chargers
bad
tough. Colts tough.
Browns tough game.
Colts.
Chiefs
I mean,
again.
maybe they win the Colts game. I was trying to like pick and choose here, but like,
Chiefs again. Bengals again.
Chargers that win it. Like
and they end with Bengals and Chiefs.
Ugh.
Just look at that
Tough schedule.
6-game box right there.
Where do you see 6 wins here? I don't.
I don't.
No,
either.
I probably don't either. It's tough. They're gonna have to steal a couple for sure.
I think that's
Defense is gonna have to show out big.
I like both
So
those.
those are my 2 unders.
Ev, what's your second under?
Yeah. So my second under, I'm going under 7 wins for Wisconsin. If you look at this schedule, it's an absolute gauntlet. And I really I'm not a Tyler Van Dyke. A lot of hype. People were talking a couple years ago him being like a first-round pick. Great
Oh,
talent.
I thought he was
Miami.
great at Miami.
I mean, he was great like the 1 year, and then he's been absolute dog shit since. People last year was gonna be like, oh, this is the reclamation year. He's gonna come back. Was dog shit again. Now he's going to Wisconsin with shittier weapons, and just overall just lack of speed to throw to, speed to run. I mean, they'll probably be a decent running team. They just always are. They always have a good offensive line, the big uglies and Midwest guys. But this schedule, man, they have to play Alabama at a conference. That's a loss, in my opinion. They start out with 2 wins. They get Western Michigan, South Dakota. They have Bama, then they have a bye. They have to go to USC, go all the way to Cal. I think that's a loss. They get Purdue at home, probably a win. I'll give them that because I think Purdue's going to stink. They have to go to Rutgers. I think that's a fucking coin flip. I think Rutgers is going to be really solid this year. That's a coin flip. Have to go to Northwestern. Another one that's like a coin flip, like just an ugly, tough game.
Yep.
You know it's going to be low scoring. You know it's going to be close. Then they're home at Penn State. I think it's a loss. I think Penn State's significantly more talented. Have to go to Iowa. I think that's a loss, but a tough game. But I think a loss. Then they get Oregon comes to town, loss. They go to Nebraska, a tough game. I think that's a loss. I really
That's
do.
a swing.
That's a swing.
You have your game hitched on both of these, but
And then they get Minnesota at home, which I'll even give them a win there, but I think even that'll be tough. I think the Nebraska, the Northwestern, and the Rutgers, those are going to be like their swing games. But I really think there's a chance they go like 5-7.
how many cooked-in wins do they have?
The only ones
They got Bama. They got 2 cooked-in wins.
the only ones I really cook in, I'll say Western Michigan, South Dakota. Like I'll give them firm wins. I'll even give them Purdue. I'll give them Purdue
Alright.
at home. Like I'll give them that win. Other than that, there's not another one where I'm just like handing them the win.
Yeah.
You could maybe say Minnesota, but they've lost to Minnesota a bunch. Like
Right.
I will not just give them Minnesota at home. I will not just give them at Northwestern. I will not just give them at Rutgers. Like, I think they basically have to win 2 of those 3 games just to push, in my opinion.
I'm going to go Duke under 5.5. Third coach in 4 years. You bring in Manny Diaz, who's 21-15 in 3 years. 8 total starters back. They have 3 cooked-in wins. Elon, UConn, and Middle Tennessee State. They have 6 baked-in losses. At Georgia Tech, Florida State, SMU, at Miami, at NC State, and Virginia Tech. I'm on Virginia Tech's over, too, so they better win that game. And you got 3 wins there. Or you got 3 games that swing. At Northwestern, brutal.
Yeah, tough.
In the rain, brutal.
Going to Evanston's tough.
Horrible. North Carolina in a rivalry game. And at Wake Forest. 3 swing. You have to
swings.
sweep. You have
Wake
to
Forest
sweep
is
those, though, Ev, to hit the over.
No, for sure. I think Wake Forest is going to stink.
You have to sweep those.
I don't think Duke's going to be like good.
I think they're going to be under 5.
And Malik Murphy. That's how
Basically, can they get to a bowl game? I don't see it. Yeah, they have Malik Murphy. Limited action at Texas.
Yeah, he's
Bad offensive line.
decent. Good.
Bad defensive
not
line.
Great.
Nobody back on the defensive line. Okay defense last year, but now they bring back nobody.
Their
I think
defense
it's
was the best they've had in a while last
Under
year.
5.5.
They lost a lot for sure.
under 5.5. Phil, you said you had a play?
Well, yeah, my play was the Panthers.
Okay.
For US men's. I also wanted to say Jeremy Lamb retired from the NBA. Great UConn player. Jeremy Lamb and Kemba just being done with basketball, it kind of hits you.
Damn, yeah. Getting old. We're getting
I
old.
don't even know what he's.
Well, I can't talk college basketball. Rico Bosco in the house.
Can have Kemba. Kemba was different. Kemba being
See,
gone.
They won a title together.
What?
Seeing the 2 of them together.
Seeing
Yeah.
Kemba
Both
because
retired the same offseason.
it's crazy. I watched Kemba's.
Jeremy Lamb, when it was did he play in the
I watched Kemba's literal whole career. I watched him in high school. I
Fan
watched
watched
his whole
Jeremy
career.
Lamb was crazy.
I watched Kemba in high school.
Jeremy Lamb mentioned plus 1,200.
Yeah.
Also, Rich Hill's thrown for interested teams in Walton, Massachusetts.
Shout out Rich.
I got one.
What do you got?
Boston College over 5 wins.
Oh, again, every year it's
No, I
Boston
don't. No, I
College.
don't.
They think they could do this.
I think that just the offense alone will give them one upset win.
Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, I'm also obsessed with Castellanos.
You
I was
love
gonna
that.
say, I like the quarterback. He is fun to
He
watch.
is so goddamn
that
fun to
kid.
watch.
He just run it like 30.
They got
times a game.
they got a good running back. They won a bowl game last year against SMU. Like Halfley's gone. I think O'Brien can upgrade that offense even more. I think they got some transfers coming in at tight end and receiver that can make the offense a little bit better. They have a tough schedule, so the 5 wins it might be a push. But if you go through it, they have Florida State, which is a loss, but then they got Duquesne, Mizzou, Michigan State.
Mizzou is a loss.
Mizzou's a
Right.
loss.
Michigan State, which I think could.
Tough game, but
Yeah, I'm
tough game.
giving one of these games that I mentioned. I'm giving them a win.
I love Michigan State's coach. I
You
love.
can't
John
give them
Smith.
Mizzou. You just
No,
can't give
I
Mizzou.
didn't.
No,
Mizzou's top 10.
Mizzou, they'll be huge dogs.
Western
top 10.
Kentucky, I'm giving them a win.
Okay.
So that's 2. Virginia, I'm giving them the win. That's 3.
Virginia's going to be bad.
Virginia Tech, I'll give Virginia Tech. Louisville, Cuse.
Louisville should win.
Louisville should win.
Where's the Cuse game?
at BC.
Swing.
Cuse should win, but it's tough.
Cuse, SMU, I'm giving them the win. And then
You're
they
giving
ended-
SMU the win?
No, BC the win.
Against SMU?
yeah, I don't know.
Absolutely not.
They won the bowl game last year.
Absolutely
I think
not. Bowl games, you take bowl games differently.
SMU at half.
I have SMU.
wasn't playing.
SMU. What do you think SMU's win total is?
9.5.
No, it's 8.5.
I'm thinking BC. That's how I love the BC offense.
just chalking up the BC to win beat SMU.
SMU is crazy. But that's what it is.
You would have been generous to BCU calling it like a swing. Because I think it's more like an L. Like that's like you're going through. You're like
Then
you're thinking.
Yeah, you have to put swing.
And then they end with UNC Pittsburgh.
Okay. Pitt's going to be bad.
UNC.
It's plus
I don't
110.
think UNC is going to be good.
Yeah. They'll be better than Duke, but you're getting into it more this year because of the playoff structure, right?
Playoff structure and the video game helps too.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm playing the game like I have Hawaii.
It's huge for the video game.
Very
'cause
exciting for me.
Like the real players are in the game as well.
Yes.
Exactly.
So actually, if you got to know like some of the players.
I think I'm like pretty comfortable with like some of the players on Hawaii's offense. Although now I'm in year 6, so now all these guys are long retired.
Yeah, they're all gone.
Yeah.
Let's do. You're still in Hawaii in year 6?
Oh yeah, I'm not moving. I'm building something special there.
All right.
I've gone to the playoffs twice.
I respect that.
Second round, got knocked out both times.
All right. Picks. I'm going to take the Mets tonight. Even with Paul Blackburn on the fucking hill, the guy they're facing has a what ERA at home?
Yeah, over a 6. Ryan Feltner has been
Horrible.
He's actually a good pitcher, but he's terrible in Colorado. I'm on the run line as well for the Mets.
Plus, the Mets can't keep getting gifts from the Braves who keep losing or struggling and not capitalize. You got to win this game. It's the Rockies. You got to win. You're going up against 3 more against the Mariners after this. Brutal stretch. They got to win. You got to win to get into the wild card. You got to win games. So I'm taking the Mets today. I think their run total is like over 5.5, so it should show you it's going to be high scoring. The Mets have to capitalize.
Blackburn's never pitched in Colorado.
Yeah, and in fairness to the Mets, like when they throw a dud, they come back and they bounce back.
They've been
Pretty well.
they've
They
been
bounce back against the
been very
Cardinals. They do pretty well bouncing back. So I think they got a little spirit and spunk in them. Ed, what's your pick?
I'm taking the Giants money. I'm riding Snell. Snell's been hot. I'm gonna ride that. I'm also gonna take the over in Brewers Braves over 7.5.
Yeah, Ev's right. Snell has been red hot. In fact, the Giants are my pick of the day. First 5 innings, the Giants have the lead. It's -110. Snell, since July 1st, ERA is, I'll get this right for you, Rico, 0.55. And then I'm on the Mets run line today for a lot of the reasons Rico said. Ryan Feltner, don't trust him at home. That's -105.
All right, I like that. That's Pick Central. Yak's up next. We'll catch you tomorrow.